Oh my God.
You're listening to Renegade Talk Radio.
Good morning. This is Betsey Bell at the Double B Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I am here to tell you that I don't know how this can happen, but I do know that if we decide not to just let it go, we may figure it out, and we may not. But I hate the idea that we'll just sit around lamenting, how can this happen? So we're not going to do that, my audience, because I have some news for you today. Today's show is called Democrats Can Never Be Straight with You. Part 1, Pardon Only for Thee. Part 2 is Bring Back Barack. Please don't. Part 3 is Gotcha, Switcheroo. Now, we're starting out, my audience, with President Biden's White House because they're reportedly considering preemptive pardons for Dr. Anthony Fauci. Senator-elect Adam Schiff and former Representative Liz Cheney. White House counsel Ed Siskel is arranging discussions about the potential pardons with several other senior advisor Biden aides, including Chief of Staff Jeff Zients. Now, I know we don't know who these people are. Politico reported on this. You know what I know? I'm going to tell you right now. What I know is that by the time Donald Trump puts his foot over the threshold of the White House, you're going to know all of his staff up one side and down the other with every critical point the press is going to make about him. Just so you know, never heard of Jeff Zients. Who the hell is he? The president who granted a sweeping pardon for his son Hunter because of the past 11 years of crimes or potential crimes earlier this week reportedly has not been roped in on the deliberations, according to Politico. Ain't that something? Yeah, we don't even know who the president is. Except that we do, and nobody will talk about it. The conversations included whether Fauci, Schiff, or Cheney would even accept a preemptive pardon, which could suggest wrongdoing and exacerbate criticisms brought by President-elect Trump's team. Don't count on it. I would urge the president not to do that, Schiff told Politico. I think it would seem defensive and unnecessary. Representative Brendan Boyle from Pennsylvania, who hosted Biden in battleground Pennsylvania before the election, called on the president to issue blanket pardons when Patel's nomination was announced, though he did not specify the intended recipients. By choosing Kash Patel as his FBI director, Trump has made it clear that he is more focused on settling personal scores than on protecting the American people or upholding the rule of law. And who's going to be the judge of that? Can I ask? Oh. Patel has openly published an enemies list in his book, naming individuals he and Trump plan to investigate and prosecute. But who said that? Targeting those who stood up to Trump's lies, abuses of power, and baseless attempts to overturn the 2020 election. So now, this is no hypothetical threat, Boyle said in a statement. If you read this carefully, which I did, my audience, The words that are used have nothing to do with reality. It is quite clear that this reporter from Fox News who told this whopping story read an article from another source and then reworked it using her bias. I get it. Please don't think that I'm not biased. I am. But I don't write for a news outlet. I write for my audience, and I'm allowed to pontificate. Thank you, my audience, because it's because of you I'm allowed to. But if you pay attention to these words, you will get what I'm trying to tell you. Patel has an enemies list in a book. Well, let's take one step forward to today. Do you have an enemies list? Do you think that Joe Biden has an enemies list? Do you think Merrick Garland had one? I can't even begin to ask what the point is. All of us disagree, but the minute the right disagrees, we become the aggressors, and we're going to get revenge. We're going to eliminate you. We're not very effective so far, are we? The problem with this kind of thinking is this. There's one big glaring flaw. The left thinks that Trump is going to get revenge. Their words. Okay, let's just look at it carefully. Trump was accused of colluding with Russia. False. Trump was accused of collaborating with Zelensky to investigate Biden. Why would that be a problem? Trump was indicted 3 times on crimes that he would have committed if he had thought them up. But he didn't think that way. As a result, he is labeled by the left as Hitler, unhinged, deranged. All of us who support him are the like. We are of his ilk, not even close to who this real man is. But then how would they know? Do they ever look at the real man? Trump said today on Meet the Depressed that he will pardon the Jan 6ers. They have suffered enough. But wait, my audience, what is a pardon? What is it for? Who should receive one? The full extent of a president's power to pardon has not been fully tested. According to Ex parte Garland, 71 U.S. 333, 1866, the president's authority to pardon is unlimited except in cases of impeachment, extending to every offense known to the law, and able to be exercised either before legal proceedings are taken or during their pendency or after conviction and judgment. A pardon is an executive order granting clemency for a conviction. It may be granted at any time after the commission of the crime. This last 4 years has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the justice system can be manipulated. The law was intended to stand on its own, not to be interpreted to conform to the outcome you desire. But the DOJ today, under Garland, has worked some incredible gymnastics to create the outcome they desired. We know this. We know that legal scholars have been giving us their views that this will harm our legal justice system immensely. I believe we're all capable of sinning. So, I'm not so sure that all of us are capable of forgiveness. In other words, you have to forgive? Or how come you will be forgiven? When it comes to Liz Cheney, I have no idea. But about Adam Schiff, he's a whole other ball of wax. You must remember. We didn't say they need pardons. Their people think they need pardons. So what does that tell you? There's something else in the woodpile we know nothing about. If they can't pardon these people, will we find out what's underneath? We could assume, but then that will make an ass out of all of us. And you know what? Washington has plenty of those going around. Next, we're going to show you who's to blame. And then when the spitballs are going to stop flying.
Oh my God.
You're listening to Renegade Talk Radio.
Thank you, my audience, for staying with me here. I've got some great news on this part of the show. We are going to explore why Barack is back. What do we need him for? You know what? He screwed up the country so much. And all of it is our fault. Because we put up with the man for 2 frickin' terms. But I have some news for you in this segment. Because it wasn't only 2 terms. It was 3. So how can this happen? He was at his forum in Chicago the other day talking to a select audience of Democrats. He said we're not born with the muscles to make pluralism amid diversity a habit. He said it takes practice and we need to rebuild the institutions that can give us that practice. He told his invited audience in his adopted hometown of Chicago on December 5th. What a joke that guy is. What institutions? Really? Are we concerned? Is he going to rebuild them in our honor? God forbid. President-elect Donald Trump's comprehensive 2024 election victory has forced President Obama to retreat from his lifetime support for woke diversity politics, which he calls pluralism. In government, the political philosophy of pluralism anticipates that people with different interests, beliefs, and lifestyles will coexist peacefully and be allowed to participate in the governing process. Pluralists acknowledge that a number of competing interest groups will be allowed to share power. And who's the allowee? Pluralism is the diversity within a political body that allows peaceful coexistence of different interests, convictions, and lifestyles. Obama is promoting the peaceful coexistence of different interests. It also states that it includes different lifestyles. Now, I can't think of a better person to be the commander-in-chief of peaceful coexistence than Barack Obama. He, the collector of all Americans to live in peace. He, Obama, the chief of all the blacks coexisting among all the whites. Hypocrite. What a damn hypocrite. He wants you to live in a peaceful coexistence. I want you to know you did before he came along. We have never been this divided, but we can't coexist as long as Donald Trump is president. Now that's real peace. When you can say that the only peace you are for is when you're in charge. Under anyone else, we're not allowed to coexist. I wish this idiot would speak English for a change. I think he's lived in this country long enough. But if Obama was really honest, he would tell you the truth. But you can't handle it, and you would not accept him if he did. No nation, no society has ever tried to build a democracy as big and as diverse as ours ever before. One that includes all people that over decades have come from every corner of the globe. He continued. From the convention stage built for Kamala Harris. This is what he said during the DNC convention. The rest of the world is watching to see if we can pull this off, he declared. What he meant was to re-engineer the population of the country to vote Democrat forever. But Obama's Democrats did not pull it off on Election Day. Instead, they were outmaneuvered by Trump's exploitation of the political divides created by the Democrats. Divide and rule diversity politics. No, the point was to divide and conquer and make a one-party rule forever. For example, many Muslims imported by Obama voted for Trump because they disliked the Democrats' close alliance with Israel during the Gaza war. Who started all those protests against Israel? The Republicans? Good thing the Muslims are stupid. That alliance on earth is the one between the Democrats and Israel. Pardon me, that's the last alliance on earth. That means oil and water. But the Muslims are right about one thing. The Democrats are aligned, and it is not to defeat terrorism. It's to rule. Democrats did not run a post-Biden fast-track convention to pick the best candidate. No, they didn't use that process because Black women would have walked out of the party if they had dropped Harris. The party would not have been chosen. They wouldn't have chosen Harris. Is that right? Well, we will never know now. But then they decide for you what you need to know. Aren't you tired of that yet? Obama tried to excuse the pocketbook damage and elite distractions caused by his diversity politics since the late 1990s. Now, that means that we are finally getting it. He has diversity on his brain, and that has caused him to wonder, who are these American people anyway? You're damn right, Barack. We are not your people. Obama even admitted that. It is true that in the non-diverse decades right after World War II, our democracy seemed to run relatively smoothly, he said. Those non-diverse decades were aided by a good economy. But they came apart as society grew more diverse, Obama said. Historically marginalized groups, blacks, Latinos, Asians, Native Americans. He threw those in for good measure. And women and gays and lesbians and disabled Americans demanded a seat at the table. He said, and I point out, you notice that the gays and the lesbians should be at the head of the table in his mind. I implore you, my audience, listen to what he says. He's the reason that the gays and the lesbians are at the table. Not because of you, my fellow Americans, but because of him. He was always worried about them. So I ask you now, why? You know Obama's all about Obama. He may have been born here, but he was educated in Indonesia on the Quran. And now we are the wiser. After 12 years of his presidency, he was given an extra term because of our American ideals that he so loquaciously rips to shreds every time he speaks. Obama tried to demean Trump's win by portraying Trump's voters as anti-democratic and portraying Harris's Democrats as demoralized. There he goes again, demanding that you agree with him. We aren't allowed to have our own ideas. We aren't allowed to our way of life. Only the one that he has planned for you. I'm thinking, Barack, are you the real Manchurian candidate? Because of America's sense of fairness and our commitment to diversity. You had your day. So go back to Indonesia. Go back to your damn house in Martha Vineyard. Granted to you by the largesse of the American people. We've got this. We can take it from here. Black or white. We are the institution that made you great.
Oh my God.
You're listening to Renegade Talk Radio.
Welcome back to How Can This Happen at the Double B Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I just have to tell you, my audience, you are really brave to stick with me today because I'm just on a roll. And I don't know, I just went off the charts this morning because I was just listening to myself go over some facts. You know, this part of the show is about you. It's about you, my audience, and how much I need you because you are my world right now. But when I have information for you, I want you to understand how important it is. This is called the big switcheroo. Wait a minute. It's called the gotcha switcheroo. Speaking of Barack Obama and his return to pluralism. That brings me to this interesting story. Adam Schiff is going to take office today, Monday, on January 9th. Oh, I apologize. It's only December. He's not supposed to take office until January. But after Newsom makes a power play to help California, oh, I got it. What does California need help with? Why would a switcheroo right now benefit California? Hang on, my audience. You are going to love this one. It's called diversity. Do you know what that means? It's not the university. Representative Adam Schiff will become Senator Adam Schiff on Monday, December 9th. after current Senator LaFonza Butler, Democrat, California. Oh, no, you didn't guess. You knew that. She resigned abruptly, allowing California Governor Gavin Newsom to appoint Schiff early. The gambit, while technically legal, is an evident attempt by California to gain an edge in the Senate by giving Schiff seniority over newly elected senators from other states who won't be sworn into their offices until January 3rd, 2025. Governor Gavin Newsom today announced the appointment of Senator-elect Adam Schiff to complete the remaining U.S. Senate term of Senator LaFonza Butler following her resignation. Now, I don't know about you, my audience, because I don't do all things California. You would think I would, the way I talk. Senator Butler was appointed by Gavin Newsom. She announced that she was going to resign on December 8th so that Californians have their duly elected representatives seated as soon as possible. Senator-elect Schiff, who won election to a full term beginning in January, is expected to be sworn in today. Newsom appointed Butler after Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat from California, died in office last year. Some Black Democrats were furious with him for not appointing Representative Barbara Lee, who was running for Senate at the time against Schiff. Earlier this year, as Republicans, the nation's first openly gay Black senator stepped onto the Senate floor and read aloud to some of them. Quote, "Perhaps for some of you here today, I am the face of one of your fears," said Democrat Senator LaFonza Butler. In February, she quoted a 20th century poet, Audre Lorde, "Because I am a Black woman, because I am a lesbian, because I am myself, a Black woman, warrior, poet, doing work, who has come to ask you, are you doing yours? Don't worry. LaFonza got put in place. She figured it out. They don't do any work. Remember, Newsom did not appoint Barbara Lee because she was running against Adam Schiff. So Barbara was supposed to sing for her supper. But LaFonza, she was sent to D.C. to lead the way. So Adam, are you comfortable yet in your seat? You are the epitome of diversity and inclusion. Seems to me there could be a theme of the Democratic Party. Are you, Adam, in keeping with the theme? Oh, not so much. More, you are in keeping with the power of the Democrat Party. At the time, Butler was just a few months into her tenure as California's junior senator, a 14-month stretch that began when she was appointed shortly after Dianne Feinstein died in 2023. And that ends today because Representative Adam Schiff, Democrat from Burbank, California, is taking over. He is being sworn in her place. The reading was part of Butler's broader effort to put into the public record literature that's becoming harder to access in conservative states. Oh, so that's the reason she was appointed? Oh, I think I get it. It was about the reading material in schools, but it was also an expression of the identity that helped catapult her into the Senate. After Governor Gavin Newsom said in 2021 he would appoint a black woman to Feinstein's seat, should it ever become vacant. My Californians, what are you upset about? You got a twofer, a lesbian and a black woman. What could be finer? Schiff was in the news Sunday for another reason. Plus, President-elect Donald Trump told NBC News that he believes all the members of the January 6th committee, including Schiff, should be in jail for their abuses of civil liberties. Do we still have civil liberties? Oh. Okay, moving on. Schiff responded with his usual bloviating about democracy. You know, my audience, the only objections allowed are by Democrats. If a Republican objects, they are wrong. They are deplored. They are jailed. It's just that simple. You need to remember, my friends, we are not the enemy. But you can paint your enemy any color you want if you own the press. In 2024, Schiff paid for advertising that boosted his Republican opponent. Oh, now we know how that happened. Dodger great Steve Garvey, because Schiff wanted him to finish second in the jungle primary and advance to the general election instead of a Democrat who might have been a stronger opponent. Oh, the little black representative, Barbara? Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. California's home of the jungle primary. 20 candidates may be the best, but there's only 2 vote getters that run off in the general, no matter what party. But Schiff didn't want his opponent to be a Democrat. Schiff, not without political chops. Who knew that a Republican would lose? So he took the page out of Harry Reid's playbook on all things under the table. Oh, I just realized. Maybe Harry took the page from Schiff. Who knows? Harry's dead, so now we'll never know. Don't you love it, my audience? All the games and all the Wile E. Coyote ways. Just to show you how much they care about you and what you want. Oh, well.